UConn falls to Creighton tonight as both offense and defense let the Huskies down. I'll recap in this post-game edition of Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday night. I know it's not a good one. And welcome back to a post-game edition of Locked On UConn. I am Matt Schonvisky, a two-time graduate, 10-year credentialed media member and host of the only daily UConn sports podcast, Locked On UConn, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, let's jump right into it. I'll recap tonight's 91-84 loss to Creighton. And we'll also hear what Dan Hurley had to say post-game. I'll summarize it a few bullet points then. The Huskies let Creighton get to the rim the entire first half. What needs to change defensively, as this cannot happen going forward? And finally, you should expect to see some rotation changes to spark the team going forward. We'll speculate, informed speculation on what that potentially could be. But first, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. 91-84 is the final. 45-45 at the half. A crowd that wanted to explode. A crowd that was there, showed up loud and proud all night. And UConn allowed 49% from the field, 48% from three. Got out-rebounded 41-35. Themselves, they shot 44%. 37% from three. It's not their typical. Still not terrible. 61% from the line. That's not good. Getting out-rebounded by 6. Not good. And more assists. They shared the ball more. 21 assists to 10. They only had 7 turnovers. They had 7 steals. Excuse me. They only had 5 turnovers. They had 7 steals. But you didn't get what you needed from some of your scorers. You didn't get what you needed from your defensive unit. And it showed. It showed all night. So let's start with solo ball. 8 points, 3 of 10 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3. Was in foul trouble all night. All night. Finished with 4 fouls. Only played 19 minutes, which opened up the door for Jayden Ross to come in. So as solo ball had issues, in comes Jayden Ross. And what we saw, let's just jump ahead right to the second half. Solo ball did not start the second half because he had 3 fouls. Partially, in my opinion, because he had 3 fouls. If solo ball was cooking offensively, my guess, he starts the second half. If solo ball was playing good defense, my guess, he probably starts that second half. What happened first possession? Jayden Ross gets a block at the rim, which is a complete opposite of what transpired the entire first half. Here's concerns that I have. And we're going to talk about this more in the second segment with defensive issues. Creighton got whatever they wanted the entire first half at the rim. Everything, I mean everything, was a layup, a dunk, a layup attempt. Everything was at the rim. It was all at the rim. Hurley talk post game, exactly why that was. We'll talk about that in the second segment. Major issue. Major issue. You cannot allow an opponent to get to the rim at each and every single possession. It's why Creighton had 45 points in that first half. And then they started hitting the 3, and they had 46 in the second half. It's the most points UConn's given up all season. At home at Gampel. The next game out after the fan base gets called out by the head coach. And that's your performance defensively. Not going to win many games playing like that. So there's many defensive issues. We'll talk about that. Offensively, Braylon Mullins had a career high, 25 points. It took him 22 shots to get to 25 points. It was out of necessity because Solo was on the bench. And then when Solo came in the second half, after Jayden Ross had a pretty solid performance defensively, very first possession, forced 3-point attempts. Forced. And he continued to do it in the second half. Rather than getting the shots like we talked about in the last game, in the flow of the offense, he was forcing shots. He was trying to overcome what transpired in the first half too much. But yes, Braylon Mullins, 25 points, 9 of 22 from the field, 6 of 11 from 3, more than 50% from 3, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. He came to play. He showed up. He wanted it. He also had 2 steals, which means he was active defensively. Jayden Ross had 2 steals, active defensively. Silas Demery, let's talk about his offense for a second, then we'll talk about his defense. 17 points on 4 of 9 shooting. 1 of 3 from 3, got to the free throw line about 10 times, made 8. 9 assists, 2 rebounds, 3 steals, active defensively. Nobody else had a steal tonight. Again, we'll talk defense in the next segment. Offensively, I wanted to see more from Silas. He was getting penetration. And when you weren't getting anything from other shooters, like Alex Karaban, 1 of 6 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3. Like Solo Ball, 3 of 10 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3. Braylon Mullins missed 13 shots, despite getting a career high. Jalen Stewart, when he came in, 0 of 3, 0 of 2 from 3. I would have liked on this night, when some of your best scorers weren't scoring, and they were going through a stretch where 1 of 11 from the field, followed by a 1 of 9 or 1 of 10 from the field, that type of stretch, that's when I need to see that's when I need to see, and I think this team needs to see, Silas Demery push himself on the offensive side. Look for his shot more on the offensive side. Get to the rim more on the offensive side, which he started to do in the last, say, 2.5 minutes of that second half. But before then, he wasn't looking for his shot. It was always, how can I penetrate and defer to other teammates first? He got some shots on the perimeter as part of the offense in the first half, early second half as well. But on a night like last night, it was prime for Silas Demery to go for 25, 30. One of those nights from him. But in his 32 minutes, he only took 9 shots. Yes, 10 free throw attempts. But I wanted more. This team needed more from him last night on the offensive side of the court. Be more aggressive offensively. Look for your shot more. Dare I see, be a bit more selfish in those situations where shots aren't falling. Terrace Reed had a nice recovery offensively. 15 points, 12 rebounds, 7-11 from the field. We're going to talk about defense in a minute. He had 1 block. 12 rebounds. Completely beats what he had the other night. 1. So I liked more of what I saw from Terrace Reed. I wasn't completely satisfied. Eric Reibe came in, 14 minutes, 8 points, 4 of 5 from the field, 4 rebounds. Again, completely efficient offensively. Eric Reibe. No fouls. This team has a lot of things that they need to work on. And offensively, I never thought there was going to be a game this year offensively, that was going to be the side of the court that lets them down. In the end, was it? Scored 84 points, went 44% from the field, 37% from three. Your freshman sensation has a career high. Alex Karaban, Dan Hurley said, I probably should have sat him. He probably needs a little bit of a break here to get over whatever it is he's dealing with. Played 25 minutes, coming off his 38-minute performance the other night. I think Coach Hurley thinks Karaban is a little more banged up than he's letting on internally. And we're probably going to see real inside conversations, internal conversations, detailed conversations about the status of Alex Karaban with Alex Karaban. And when that happens, maybe we see he's out, maybe against Villanova. Some time off to recover. Because 2 points, 1 of 6 from the field, did not make a three, like I said. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Listen, Hurley said, hey, he was moving like a cargo ship. And cargo ships move slow. Quote, unquote, from Dan Hurley postgame. So they need to figure out what's happening with him. Braylon Mullins went down. I don't know if it was a knee thing. I thought he banged his head and it was either Silas Demery or Solo Ball's knee on the missed alley-oop attempt. But post-game, reporters did say they saw him with a knee brace at one point in time on the bench. So Dan did acknowledge, hey, he's dealing with a little something. So we'll see if there's anything there. Is there a layer there? But was no expectation that this 91-84 game was going to happen and break out last night with Creighton coming in and dominating offensively. Which leads to, what does UConn need to fix defensively? And we will talk about that after the break. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. Like the favorite, like the long shot, now is the time to do what you want to do. And now, not only can your pick cash, but it also could send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Again, visit FanDuel.com to get started. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back in on Locked On UConn, and we are rest of this show. Listen, my last show I put out. I need to acknowledge this before we talk about defensive issues and rotation changes. The rest of the show is going to be talking about what needs to be fixed. If you rethink back to my last show, maybe you just watched it. I was talking about how UConn was underrated by the AP voters. After their loss to St. John's, dropping to 6, got up to 5. On the outside looking in, if the AP voters had their way, at a number 1 seed. I was wrong. Clearly, a top seed does not come out and perform like they did tonight against Creighton. Let's get that out of the way. Number 1, I got to acknowledge when I'm wrong. When I say something and it turns out to be incorrect, I got to eat it. So there we go. Defensively, what needs to change? One-on-one defense. Name of the game. Dan Hurley talked about it last night. After the game. You cannot lose one-on-one battles. My opinion. Listen, off missed shots, Creighton's sprinting down. And it's not like they're out on the break. It's not like it's a one-on-one situation. It's not like somebody's behind the defense. They are getting the ball, sprinting. They sprinted down the court and got to the rim because nobody was able to stop the ball. Coach McDermott, post-game, also talked about this. We recognized games past. We've been able to play with pace against UConn. On a make or a miss, play with pace, we usually get a good shot opportunity. Lo and behold, that's Coach McDermott and Creighton's approach last night. And there you go. To the rim. It was all one-on-one play. Coach Hurley talked about this also post-game. It was all one-on-one play. We were losing our one-on-one matchups. Why do we know that? Well, in the first segment, we went through the stats, right? Creighton finished with 10 assists on 27 made shots. UConn finished with 21 assists on 31 made shots. UConn shared the ball. Creighton didn't share the ball. 10 assists on 91 points. 10. UConn had 21 assists on 84 points. So that needs to be fixed. How do you fix that? Effort, mindset, mentality, will, toughness. There's one thing I'm surprised about with this team right now. I don't think it's mentally tough. Because you have Alex Karaban. You have Silas Demery. You have some guys, Jayden Ross, Jalen Stewart, that have been here. They need to be tough physically. Where's your rim presence? There is none. The last two home games. Who got honored? We're going to talk about this later this week because they deserve conversation. Hasheem Thabeet went into the Huskies of honor. Absolute beast rim protector. Who else was honored last night? Emeka Okafor. Rim protector. One of the nicest guys you'll meet. Both of them, actually. I was in school with Emeka. Hasheem came as I was leaving UConn the first time. But knowing the mentality that both players have and how they are off the court a bit as well. You don't have to be the toughest, meanest, baddest dude on the planet. No. But when it comes to time to step between those lines on the court, your job as a center is protect the rim. Protect the rim. And what we're getting from our center position, we are not physically tough. We don't defend the rim at all from our center spot. And it's got to change. It's the biggest thing that's got to change. On-ball defense, I'm not worried about Silas Demery. Braylon Mullins got caught up on the break a bit. Wasn't able to stop the ball. Creighton layups. I do like Braylon Mullins' length. I think his defense will come. I think his effort's there. Solo ball. We're going to talk about some rotation changes. I would not be shocked if moving forward, maybe solo ball is a six-man off the bench scorer type thing. We'll talk about that in the third segment. But at the same time, if you're moving like a cargo ship, what does Alex Karaban bring in defensively? So there's things that clearly, defensively, starts here. Starts with the effort. Starts with the mindset. Starts with knowledge of the game. Starts with scouting. Another thing Dan Hurley mentioned post-game. We're not doing our job there. They know heading in how they're supposed to be handling some of these players, how they should be guarding some of these players. And it's not translating. So an extra level of work needs to be put in ahead of these games. Game preparation. Like some of us here, maybe the players were focused on, hey, we're 24-2. We're 14-1. We're coasting. We're coasting. We're coasting. You know what that coasting mindset gets you to? 91-84 Creighton over UConn at home at Gampel while you're honoring Emeka Okafor. The preeminent rim protector at UConn. When you're honoring Hasheem Thabeet, the preeminent rim protector at UConn, both of those guys, 1 and 2. Pick your poison. No one was better than both of those. And what's plaguing this team is exactly what those guys brought to the table. And UConn doesn't have that right now. UConn doesn't have, as Dan Hurley talked about, the Donovan Clingan type, the Adama Sanogo type, the Samson Johnson type, rim protector. At the same time, if I'm hearing that nonstop in the media, hey, my guys aren't this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, I'm probably a little annoyed as well. Just saying. So with these defensive issues that we understand are there, what should we expect to happen? And Dan Hurley insinuated on this, which is why I believe rotation changes will be happening. On the other side, we'll talk about exactly what I think is going to happen after this. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Back in on this post-game edition of Locked On UConn, and we are going to speculate a little bit here. Maybe call it informed speculation based on what I'm reading from Dan Hurley and what I've been seeing transpire on the court. I think we're on the verge of some rotation changes, whether it's just short-term to spark the team, or if that short-term change turns into long-term change, permanent change in terms of the starting lineup, the rotation, your cadence of who's coming in off the bench. First and foremost, I think Hurley wants to address what I talked about already, Alex Karaban. So if they rest him, there's going to be just natural change in the rotation right there. But if Karaban's healthy, what I expect to play out, I think Solo moves to the bench. I think Jayden Ross starts going forward. Jayden Ross gives you that on-ball defender. A little longer, lengthier player. Not quite the player that Jackson was, obviously. But Jayden Ross is that type of guy that can come in and start to shut down and lock down players one-on-one, which was a huge issue in the first half against Creighton. Huge issue. And you saw the impact immediately early in that second half. First possession, block at the rim. Because he's in the right position. The effort's there. Hand up, hand on the ball. Denied. Second thing I wouldn't be shocked about. I know he had a good game offensively. I know he hit the glass. I wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't be shocked if maybe Eric Reibe gets a start here as well. Potentially. Just to shake some things up, make some noise internally, get some points across. Listen, defensively, you're not protecting the rim. If we're not playing good one-on-one defense on the perimeter, if we're not playing defense and that lack of defense leads to a 91-84 loss, well, guess what we can't do? We can't continue to play defense that way. Which means if you're not contributing defensively and you're part of the defensive problem, you won't be playing as many minutes. You will lose your starting role. And others will step in and take advantage of the opportunities that I know they can. And listen, you've been having issues off the bench, right? So why don't you add a bit more? If I'm Hurley, maybe this is part of the thinking as well. We haven't really been having issues offensively. Last night there were some gaps. The 1 of 11 stretch, the 1 of 9 or 1 of 10 stretch, right after that 1 of 11 stretch. But UConn still scored 84 points. They still shot 44% from the field. It's not like they were at 35. They shot 37% from three. They weren't like 20. So if your offense is not killing you completely, why not improve your defense? Move some of your scoring to the bench so that when it comes time to go to your bench, you're actually bringing guys in that are going to produce offensively. And maybe we keep more of a level on offense. And we're not ping-ponging in terms of productivity offensively throughout a game. Just a thought. But I fully expect maybe Solo to come off the bench. And like I said, I would not be shocked if Terrace Reed gets his game off and comes off the bench as well. Gets a game off from his starting role. I don't think he's going to sit a game. But I think maybe you see Eric Reibe step in and see what he can do in a starting role at this stage of his freshman year. Because if you think back to early in the season, he was much further along than anyone thought. Maybe in another starting role, maybe further development has happened. And then whatever transpires with Alex Karaban here over the next game or two, Hurley went out of his way to say, hey, maybe I should have rested him. Maybe Alex Karaban's one of these guys that's just going to tough anything out, any situation out. We really need to peel back the onion and figure out what is going on with Karaban in his leg. Because you can't move, you can't play defense. And that's another thing that, obviously, Hurley is clearly focused on. So, yes, Karaban brings that mental attitude that you need and what you're looking for. But if physically right now he's not there, maybe some time off would be better so he could be closer to 100% come tournament time. So listen, you had some guys that stepped up for Creighton. Dix had 21. 14 for their new starting point, and 12 for Blake Harper off the bench in only 8 minutes. Didn't miss a shot. 3-3 from the field, 2-2 from 3. 4-4 from the free throw line. Was a huge asset for them. Late second half. Probably a difference maker, if you ask me. Nick Graves had 18. So obviously not the night that UConn was hoping for, not the night that UConn fans were hoping for, not the night that I know Jim Calhoun and Emeka Okafor did not want. But it's better this type of game happened today, and rather than in March and in April. How this team comes back from a game like this is going to be telling. Against the top two teams, chasing UConn in the Big East standings. Villanova up first on the road, St. John's next Wednesday. People's Bank Arena. As we move forward this week, on Thursday morning, we'll be recapping the women's. Speaking of Villanova, they were on the road in Philly. We'll recap that game. We'll talk more about Hasheem, Thabeet, and Emeka Okafor. Both of those guys deserve their own segment. What do they mean to this program? What are some of the memories we've had of them? And we'll do that probably over the next day or two as well. As we close, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On UConn. Like I mentioned on tomorrow's show, expect a full recap of the women's win over Villanova, as well as some content around Emeka Okafor and Hasheem Thabeet. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On UConn on social media so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On UConn ad-free, plus membership-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonucon.supercast.com to join the club. Again, lockedonucon.supercast.com to join the club. I know tonight was not the game everybody wanted, but I think it's going to be proved to be a learning experience, and hopefully the spark, the unexpected spark that this team needs going forward. As we move forward, we will continue to have full coverage. And as always, go Huskies!